It's a young whiskey. Let's be honest, it's only 3 years or 3.2 actually, but it's a very unique combination between 2.5 years in a New American Virgin Oak and a 7 months in ex-bourbon one. So it has a lot of woodiness and a lot of fruitiness inside it as well. It's complex for its age. As I told you, it tastes, feels like more than 3 years, more than 7 and 8. And again, the story is much more important in this case. In this case, this is the first ever Israeli single malt whiskey that any distillery released from Israel. The Milk and Honey is the first whiskey distillery here in Israel, and we already said the first ever whiskey single malt whiskey. We're going to sell it in an auction, numbers 1 up to 100. Out of 391 bottles from this single cask series are going for auction in whiskeyauctioneer.com. Milk and Honey is the name of the distillery actually, and also the whiskey that just released. And because Israel is well known as the Milk and Honey land, we are very, very, very proud of being Israeli. We're very proud of being Jewish. We want to shout it to the world of the Milk and Honey Distillery. So kosher is one thing that we're doing here differently. We are like the ultra kosher distillery you can find, I guess, in the world, because whiskey by definition is kosher. But here is much more. We don't work on Saturdays. We work on Yom Kippur or Passover. And we want to symbolize our being Jewish or Israeli, and then we call it the Milk and Honey Distillery.
I own 2 bars. I manage a couple of bars. I manage the whiskey. The spirit is very complex, very. I call it an intelligent whiskey. It's a whiskey that develops. The whiskey that you can keep it in the glass for like 25 minutes and it develops again. And I'm very excited. A lot of people all around the world are very excited to see where this spirit and where this whiskey is going to be in about 3 or 4 or 5 years from now. Eventually, I have a feeling it will go for over 250 pounds a bottle. And this whiskey is unique because where it comes from. It comes from a warm climate country, which is a lot harder, a place that's a lot harder to make whiskey. In colder climates like Scotland or Ireland, whiskey usually ages for about 7 to 10 to 12 years before it's even bottled. Because this is just the way, you know, it gets to its full potential, at least at the beginning of its full potential. The warm climate in Israel speeds up the process and actually makes a 3-year-old whiskey feel a lot older.
There's a huge demand nowadays for whiskey from other places around the world, a new world whiskey. There's more than 70 countries now with a minimum of 1 distillery, and one of them is Israel. So the demand now is for new things, new stories, new marketing story, new taste, and I think we're going to be a part of this amazing wave.